Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we're going to be talking about this great watch from Rado. It's the D-Star 200 automatic. This is actually one of my wife's favorite pieces that I wear. So we'll talk a little bit about the company Rado in general here to start. They were founded in 1957, so they're not super old, but they're kind of known for their more modern designs because they are a more modern brand, which is a good thing. So they're Swiss made, of course. They are a Swatch Group brand. They are considered in the Swatch Group's high range, along with Longines or Union Glacé, which would slot in right below Omega and Blancpain, which fall into the prestige and luxury range. But the Rado would be above Hamilton or Tissot, which Swatch Group markets as the middle range. So, as you can see, this is a dive watch, which is a little bit more traditional for Rado's designs. If you've kind of seen their design language, they definitely have a very modern kind of futuristic vibe to them. And this is just a really cool kind of more traditional look, almost a retro modern design. So this is the D-Star 200. It's automatic. The retail price is $17.95. But kind of if you do your research online, you can find them anywhere in between $950 to about $1,400. The case size is 41 millimeters with a 13 millimeter height. So it's relatively thin, and you'll see by the case shape that it actually, the way that it. Let me zoom out here. Okay, as you can see, it actually, the way it tapers there, makes it actually feel a little bit smaller while it's on your wrist, which is nice. But it's relatively thin, not huge. So this is kind of a modern classic size. At 41, it's of course stainless steel with a couple of hints of other materials, like the ceramic with liquid metal indexes, and then this nice flat titanium clasp, which we'll cover here in a bit. So the crystal is sapphire, and it's domed with an inner AR coating, and it actually has this date magnifier here that is actually underneath the crystal, which is pretty cool. And in pictures you can't really tell that, but if you look here, it's a perfectly flat crystal, but it does have a magnifier right there, which unfortunately we're at about 15 past the hour, so the minute hand is kind of blocking that. But as the review goes on, we'll definitely look back and we can actually get a cleaner shot of it. So it has a 60-click unidirectional rotating bezel, so it goes only one way for timing. It's not loomed in any way, but it's really nice. It has that really nice gloss ceramic finish, and with the liquid metal insert, so it's really a seamless indexing there, which is very nice. And it's 60 clicks, so you can hear. It's a little bit tough to grasp in these gloves, but make and do. Just because it has a really fine coin edge bezel there. So very nice. It has a screw down crown, which is signed with a cool kind of Rado anchor logo, which is very nice. The case back is see-through display case back. you can see a very nicely decorated 2824 with the very nice Rado logo. And here we are with the push button deployment clasp, and this is really nice titanium folding clasp. It's nice because titanium actually feels a lot better on the skin than steel does. So it's actually not just kind of a gimmick like, hey, it's titanium, which helps with the weight and kind of the balance of the watch. But I mean, as you saw, this is really well integrated. But what I want to do is kind of get a better look at the movement. So hopefully we can get it to kind of focus. There we go. Might be as good as it's going to get, but it has a really nice Geneva striping. You know, this is a pretty decorated 2824. So very cool. And look, check that out. The 3 date is now a lot clearer. So as you can see, that's a lot of magnification there. Very nice, purposeful. You know, I know not everybody's a fan of date magnifiers, but I think when it's executed like this and just integrated so well, as you can see, like, it's a pretty small date window, then the magnifier just really just does that justice, which is really nice. Very finely executed. So, as you can see, it has applied indices, which are filled with BGW9 because it does glow blue. I didn't find anywhere where that was kind of confirmed online, but I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say it's BGW9. Has a great sunburst kind of sunray dial. Very nice blue. It's definitely a true blue. It's not something that's gonna look black in certain lights or indoors, you know, like, so, you know, like, let's say like a Longines Hydro Conquest or something like that, where it's such a dark blue, or an Oris Aquis where it's almost a gray. This is a really nice true blue. And I kind of actually, I do really like that the bezel in this light, it's really hard to tell with artificial light, but this bezel actually can catch light in different ways, and it kind of plays with here. It seems like a single tone. It's a little bit darker, but I think it actually adds a nice contrast and doesn't feel too matchy. But in direct sunlight, this ceramic bezel catches the light. It's very reflective with these kind of studio lights I have on, but it really can catch the light and kind of can light up to that bright blue as well in under natural light settings. So as you can see here, it's 20 bar or 20 meter water resistant, which actually, it's in the name. It's in the D-Star 200, and it's also printed on the back here, right there, if you can see it. But you know, it kind of has a very uncluttered dial, which is nice. Everything's very high polish. There isn't any lume on the second hand, which is, you know, a little disappointing. But I think for what the watch is and the way the watch is going to be worn, I don't think we really have to worry about that. I mean, there's not even lume at the 12 o'clock pip, so not a huge issue. It does have push pins, as you can see, in the bracelet, but this bracelet is really great. Let me get this on wrist. The bracelet itself is just really finely constructed. I mean, once I get it on here, you'll be able to see. Let me just... So, magic is happening behind the scenes. Okay. So as you can see, I mean, it is just really well integrated. The lugs are integrated lugs, so you won't be able to put this on a NATO, unfortunately. But the bracelet itself is really outstanding, and I mean, the way the clasp is just integrated in. Hopefully, you get some of the smudges off. Similar, I'd say, to like an Aquaterra bracelet. If you've ever worn the Omega Aquaterra, it's really just so well integrated. it's you kind of forget that the clasp is there. I know that with dive watches, a lot of times the clasp can be very bulky. I mean, it's kind of its own it's its own feature set. Everybody wants to look at how cool the clasp is. It's really refreshing to see a watch where, you know, especially for a sports watch, where the clasp is just very low key and functional and kind of understated. So and of course that titanium in the clasp helps keep that half of the watch light, and you know, it's really nice on the skin. It stays cool, and it feels pretty good. I have a full titanium watch, and it's very comfortable as well. So I think it was a really cool idea to execute this with the titanium folding clasp. So some on the wrist thoughts. You know, it is a very sporty, you know, flashy watch with kind of this great modern retro, you know, cushion case design that wears extremely well. Some model variants, there's black models, there's a gray, and then of course there's the 43 millimeter, which unfortunately is 16 millimeter thick automatic chronograph. So this isn't a huge range model, but there are some variants. I'd say I would compare it to, you know, an Oris Aquis Date. You know, it has similar attributes, but probably in a more sporty package where this is a little bit more classy. And then, you know, on the lower end, I'd probably compare it to maybe a Helios Tropic, which is a nice, very solid watch. Similar kind of style and design, but kind of with a more toned down, toolish approach. This is definitely a lot flashier. You know, the bottom line for this watch is it's very stylish, and it's a very feature rich piece. I mean, you know, it's Swiss, it's a well-known brand. It has a see-through caseback, very nicely decorated movement. You know, it has those exotic materials that you want. You know, it has the ceramic bezel. It also has the liquid metal indexing on the bezel insert. It has the titanium in the clasp. So I mean, it just checks a lot of boxes. So although, you know, I'm not sure anybody really cares how nice the Lume is on this watch because of, you know, it's clearly a dress diver, maybe even the king of dress divers in this price range. But I will go ahead and hit the lights. Okay, and as you can see here, if I can get it to focus, it has a very nice blue hue to it, the BGW9. And, you know, actually, as you can see, there's a little bit of background light still on there. But you know what? I don't think I'm going to run to go shut that off, because I really doubt anybody would take this diving into the dark depths of the ocean. This is definitely a piece that, you know, great for swimming, snorkeling, and just kind of all around, just a sports watch that happens to have great water resistance. It's a little funny because, you know, you think 200 meters water resistance, oh, that's not much, especially now they have watches that can go 400 meters. But I mean, the human body, I believe, I think the record is around 200 meters for an actual diver. If anybody knows the actual facts on that, go ahead and feel free to leave it at the bottom. I would love to know. But as far as I know, from what I've read, I believe the deepest dive, you know, for a human, you know, that wasn't in some type of mini sub was you know, a little bit over 200 meters. So, you know, a lot of these numbers are, you know, they're just kind of a currency for the watch. You know, is it worth the extra money if they build in the extra water resistance? Because with the extra water resistance, you know, honestly, it makes the watch feel tougher and more capable, which is true. This, you know, especially with the finishing, although the polishing is impeccable, you know, it's going to be a lot more susceptible to scratches and nicks. So this is definitely a watch to wear more casually. You know, you probably don't want to take this one hiking where you're slamming your wrist against rock and really scratching it up. I mean, it's a really beautiful piece. Again, you know, as I mentioned before, this is actually one of my wife's favorite watches that I have. So let me get the lights back on. and kind of leave you with the laying wrist here. And just to let you guys know, if you like the video, you found it useful, make sure you hit like. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. There's a lot more great content coming, and we'd love to share it with you. So have a good one, and feel free to leave comments down below if you have any questions on this really cool timepiece. Thanks.
Let it go.